Tanse, good evening. I'm Chris Sinachkate. Welcome to APTN National News. Several chiefs from across Canada have gathered in Ottawa today to prepare for tomorrow's meeting with Prime Minister Mark Carney. It's regarding Bill C-5, which was passed into law just a few weeks ago. It proposes to accelerate development projects like pipelines and mines by speeding up the approval process. The Assembly of First Nations held a press conference in Ottawa this morning. Many chiefs say the passing of Bill C-5 was rushed. It's a word also being used to describe how quickly tomorrow's meeting with Carney was set up. AFN National Chief Cindy Woodhouse-Nepenak said that this is a critical point in the nation-to-nation relationship with Canada. She said First Nations are not against economic growth, but it can't be at the expense of treaty rights and the environment. She also said that the AFN stands united with Canada against President Donald Trump's tariff threat. The National Chief hopes Prime Minister Mark Carney will bring something substantial to the meeting, like an announcement on infrastructure in First Nation communities.
They had a commitment to close the infrastructure gap to 2030. We need traction, and we need to see it on pen to paper with all of us agreeing to that, to close that gap. I think that's a start to this conversation. So we want to give them the benefit of the doubt that they come with something this week, because they can't come here and expect First Nations to accept the status quo any longer.
The AFN wasn't the only group holding a press conference today. The Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs held their press conference earlier this afternoon near the Museum of History, where tomorrow's meeting with Prime Minister Mark Carney will be held. Chief Derek Nepenak has a message for all levels of government, adding that First Nations in Manitoba retain title to the land.
Welcome everybody to...
Why do we have to rely on the Crown's designate, the federal or provincial government, to tell us what to do in our territory? It's backwards right now. And that's the big message that we need to bring to everybody that wants to come here from around the world and work the resources, whether that be in the land or in the water. You've got to come to us first, because we have unceded title.
And our senior online reporter, Karen Pulier, has also been following the Bill C-5 story. She has been across the Ottawa River in Gatineau, Quebec this afternoon. That's where chiefs from across Canada have gathered to have meetings and prepare for tomorrow's meeting with Prime Minister Mark Carney. Karen, thanks so much for speaking with us. As we've already heard, several chiefs are in Ottawa today. Can you explain why they are there and what's been said today?
Right, so this is the like the pre-show, I guess, with the main attraction being tomorrow. They're having a meeting today that's a technical briefing, because the chiefs never got a technical briefing on this Bill C-5 or the One Economy Act that was passed in Parliament. And so right now, down the stairs behind me, officials and ministers are meeting with the chiefs and giving them a briefing. Ahead of the meeting today, there were two press conferences, one held by the AFN, which I think you just played some clips from that, and the other from the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs. And a few things that they really wanted to know, or really wanted to get out there, is even though there's a range of disagreement among chiefs about how they feel about the meeting, they do not see this as a consultation. And that's been the big problem with this bill all along, is that they do not feel like they were consulted on it or consulted properly, and they don't want this meeting to be counted as a consultation.
And away from the press conferences, what's been the mood among chiefs regarding this meeting with the Prime Minister tomorrow?
Yeah, you know, like again, it's a little bit all over the place. There was a press release sent out by some chiefs saying that they really wanted to go forward and everything was fine, but the majority of chiefs have kind of a resigned mood. Even though you see them kind of like fists up and stuff in the press conferences, there's a feeling that they really, really want this relationship with this Prime Minister to work, and that they're really hoping that they can come to some sort of understanding about consultation and how to move forward here today. I think a few chiefs have come in saying that they want some things. We heard the national chief saying that she wanted infrastructure projects on First Nations to be included in national projects, something the Prime Minister has so far said wouldn't be a national project. And then some of the chiefs have come in just with an open mind just to hear. And, so it's a variety of things. But there's definitely a resignation on trying to make this work.
We got about 40 seconds left, Karen. Finally, if the Chiefs' demands and expectations are not met with Prime Minister Mark Carney, what do you think will happen next?
Yeah, well, the Chiefs didn't come in with one idea in mind, but definitely there are some Chiefs here who want the law repealed. They want it amended to include free and prior informed consent. They want guarantees on rights. And they've come in with some asks. And those chiefs particularly are already writing demand letters to the provinces and to the feds. Some have already launched a court case or an injunction to try to do something to stop the bill. They're talking a hot summer. They're talking idle no more. They're talking that they will turn the pressure up if they don't hear what they need to hear at this meeting.
Karen Pugliese, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, 9 First Nation communities in Ontario are banding together to launch a constitutional challenge aimed at Ontario's Bill 5 and Canada's Bill C-5. The announcement was made at Queen's Park in Toronto today, where chiefs spoke to reporters about the impacts of these bills. They say both pieces of legislation threaten First Nations rights to self-determination, as well as the environment and fundamental human freedoms.
We are interested in development that is done the right way. The right way means protecting and conserving the environment, lands, waters, and species. The right way also means full participation in decision-making of First Nations who have the rights on our lands.
We have a sacred responsibility to this land. We ask that we be allowed to honor that sacred responsibility given to us by the Creator. Many of us pray, and we pray for you as well, so that you can live on this land. Because I'm telling you, when the water's gone and when everything's poisoned, what are we going to have?
Earlier this year, 2 elected Métis Nation Saskatchewan officials were blocked from attending their swearing-in ceremony after a harassment dispute between them and Richard Quintal, the CEO of the organization. Now, the 2 regional representatives say they've been offered a makeup ceremony. APTN video journalist Rachel May brings us the update.
This year began with a harassment dispute between Richard Quintal and 4 elected Provincial Métis Council PMC members, who Quintal accused of harassment. 2 of them, Sherry McLennan and Wendy Gervais, were re-elected Métis Nation Saskatchewan regional directors on June 24th. But they were not allowed to attend the MNS swearing-in ceremony or PMC meetings unless they apologized publicly to Quintal. In a joint statement issued on Tuesday night, McLennan and Gervais say they've now been offered a follow-up swearing-in ceremony by MNS President Glenn McCallum. There's no word yet on when it will take place or whether this means they'll be allowed back into PMC meetings. In a written statement, McLennan and Gervais said, "We know a lot of people have a lot of questions. We do too. Fighting for the voices of our citizens continues to be on our top priorities." They say they'll keep the public updated and plan to attend the upcoming Back to Batoche Festival, held at the Batoche National Historic Site this weekend. Rachel May, APTN National News, Saskatoon.
Manitoba's Justice Department is reporting that a man has died while in custody at the Winnipeg Remand Centre. According to Manitoba Justice, the unidentified 36-year-old died on July 14th in the downtown Winnipeg Detention Centre. Individuals are placed in the Winnipeg Remand Centre while awaiting trial, sentencing, or transfer to other correctional facilities. The Manitoba government is not providing information about the deceased due to privacy reasons. The Office of the Chief Medical Examiner has been notified as required by law and will investigate the circumstances. Wildfires in northern Ontario continue to burn and are keeping many First Nations on edge. In northwestern Ontario, Pikangikum Ojibwe Nation recently dealt with a community-wide power outage after wildfires destroyed power lines leading to that community. In a Facebook post, Pikangikum leaders say hydro poles have been replaced and power is back on. But Red Lake Fire 62 is now 31,000 hectares in size and remains out of control, prompting evacuation of the community's most vulnerable members. So far, more than 2,000 people from Pikangikum have been required to evacuate, with the first round of evacuees leaving this Saturday to Thunder Bay and Sioux Lookout. There is also plans to move evacuees to Toronto and Mississauga if needed. Pikangikum is located about 500 kilometers northwest of Thunder Bay. According to Ontario fire officials, as of Sunday, more than 50 wildfires were burning in the region. We're always looking for your feedback or story ideas. Here's how you can continue the conversation with us. If you have a story you want to share, send us an email to news@aptn.ca. And to read and watch our stories, you can go to www.aptnnews.ca. And you can also find us online on your favorite social media sites, including TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and X. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. A woman from the Fishing Lake Saulteaux Nation in Saskatchewan is a new recipient for a major international award. That interview when we come back. Stay with us. Welcome back. A social worker and member of the Fishing Lake Saulteaux Nation in Saskatchewan is a recipient of a major international award. Brenda Reynolds has been named as one of the 2 recipients of the 2025 United Nations Mandela Prize. The prize aims to recognize the achievements of those who dedicated their lives to the service of humanity, as guided by the purposes and principles of the UN, and honors the legacy of Nelson Mandela. Brenda Reynolds recently spoke to our Dennis Ward. Here's that interview.
Brenda, thanks so much for taking some time for us here, and congrats. This is a pretty big deal. What was your reaction when you found out you were one of the 2 2025 laureates of the United Nations Mandela Prize?
I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. It was... And it still is really unbelievable that I have been awarded a prize after an individual that I admire for who he was as an individual, and also the work that he has done. And then also too, the other disbelief is that I grew up on a res, on a reserve, and I always say I'm a res kid, and it's just something that was never in my sphere of thinking that I would win such a prestigious award after an incredible person.
Well, and prestigious it is. The prize is only presented every 5 years to 1 male and 1 female, and there were more than 300 people nominated this time from around the globe. Can you tell us a bit about how your nomination came to be?
Well, I know the person that nominated me. She is from the U.S. and I've done some work with her in terms of other truth and reconciliations around the world, and it was my work with the development of the Indian Residential School Resolution Health Support Program under the settlement agreement, and it was through that development of that emotional support program that I have been able to do other work in other countries based on the genocide experiences that we have in Canada, and then how do you provide emotional support to survivors, and then as we went through the Truth and Reconciliation process, we provided support to all Canadians, and so that's how it is that I came to be to being nominated for this prize.
Well, you're going to be recognized by the General Assembly on Nelson Mandela International Day, which is July 18th. What are you expecting there?
It's going to be the prize is going to be awarded by the Secretary General of the United Nations, and then I'll get to meet other members of UN that have been invited, and I will get to speak on similar things that you and I are talking about today. And so that's what it's going to be. And one of the incredible things I'm going to be doing before July 18th is going to be meeting with a group of Indigenous girls from across the U.S. and some from South America who are a youth group from 12 to 17 who are doing advocacy work for some of the conditions that experience in on reservations for them and on reserves for us. And so it's coming like full circle, because my work started with statements of 17 girls at Gordon's residential school in Saskatchewan back in 1988. So it's going back to the kids that I worked with is going to be an amazing experience. I'm looking forward to that.
Brenda, how does an international honor like this make you reflect on the work you've done over many decades?
It's what it is. It's very, very important work. And when I think of all of the experiences that we have in Canada with the residential schools, and then of course all the other things that have happened that has come to light since then, like the day schools and the Indian hospitals and all that kind of stuff, and what's come to, and I'm also doing my doctorate on cultural genocide, on trauma interventions for cultural genocide, and it's something that is needed. And also, how do you provide trauma interventions for people who experience genocide? And that was what I had done starting in 2007 in the development of the health support program that I did. And so it's meaningful in Canada. It's meaningful for all the Indigenous populations throughout the world, and other populations who are minorities that are experiencing different kinds of genocide.
Well, Brenda, it's great work and a tremendous honor. Wish you all the best there in the United Nations in New York City next week, and really appreciate you taking some time for us here.
Thank you so much, Miigwech.
Our Tina House is up next with a story about an Indigenous food truck in BC that is taking the motto, "Food is medicine," to heart. That story when we come back. Stay with us. Welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. A beautiful summer sunset as seen from the Métis Nation located in the north central region of British Columbia. A big thanks to Clarence Jones for always thinking of us. For the chance to be featured as our next photo of the day, send us your pictures to share at aptn.ca. Time now for tomorrow's weather forecast. St. John's 30, Charlottetown 29. 21 in Cartwright, the Grand River 20. Rain in Saguenay at 18, Quebec City 23. 29 in Toronto and showers there, Peterborough 26. Big Trout Lake 23 in rain, Thunder Bay 24 and partly cloudy. 23 in Puckatawag and Thompson 23. 22 in Gimli, Winnipeg 23. 22 in Estevan, North Battleford, rain and 22. Meadow Lake, partly cloudy and 24, LaRonge, showers and 24. Showers in Grand Prairie at 26, Fort McMurray 27. Rain in Lethbridge at 19, Edmonton 24. Kamloops, partly cloudy and 32, Penticton 30. 20 in Sand Spit, Smithers 27. Beaver Creek 24, Dawson 25. 27 in Fort Simpson, sunny and Yellowknife at 27. Fort McPherson 24, Colville Lake 19. 14 in Baker Lake, Chesterfield, partly cloudy and 9. And Arctic Bay +6, Aglulik +8 in rain. An entrepreneur from British Columbia has just launched her own food truck. And as APTN's Tina House reports, for her, food is medicine and made with lots of love.
Take a look at that, nice and soft, just like marshmallows. Come get some.
Ruby Harry not only runs a catering company called Four Directions Catering, but she has recently launched her own food truck called Medicine Wheels. And for her, it's a dream come true.
I am so proud, so happy, and I am beaming from the inside out. My spirit is happy.
It all started one night when she was scrolling through Marketplace on Facebook, when she says she came across this abandoned old food truck for sale. She said she looked past the chipped paint and old interior and saw potential. She worked hard, saved the money, and sold a lot of bannock to eventually rebuild the entire engine, put in a new kitchen with top-of-the-line appliances. She also taught herself how to get through the permitting process.
I got this business off the ground by long, hard hours and lots of money, but we got it done. It's a 1988 Brewmaster, and she's spotless, she's brand new, and she's ready to go. She's ready to feed anybody, anywhere.
And her big baby food truck, which she affectionately calls it, has already hit the road from Mount Currie to Bowen Island to Kamloops. Medicine Wheels food truck serves everything from homemade slow-cooked brisket poutine, wild salmon and fries, to her signature berry pickers dessert bannock, Indian tacos with fresh-made bison chili, to halibut. Everything on her menu is what Ruby says, made with love, and her customers feel the same way.
Absolutely awesome. I had just had Elder Lois over here just shared some of her lunch with me, and it was fantastic.
And for Ruby, her food is medicine. And giving back to the community is a big part of what she does, by training the next generation and donating meals that feed hundreds of people at various events. Just recently, she received the King Charles III Coronation Medal, which recognizes individuals who have made a significant contribution to communities in Canada.
I want to say thank you to everybody who helped me get here, that we did it, and we're going to keep going. Thank you, and this is what you call a bannock surgeon.
Tina House, APTN National News, Vancouver.
Thank you for that scrumptious story, Tina. That's our cue to all go home after this and make some bannock. And that's your evening newscast for this Wednesday. We're back again for your daytime newscast tomorrow at 12 p.m. Manitoba time. Please join us then. From our HQ in Winnipeg and from our reporting staff from across the country, hi miigwech masicho kwana. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again next day.